Good morning. I'm Claudia Marshall, your worship leader today. Bill Caine is our guest musician this morning, and you can learn more about Bill's accomplishments in our order of service. He has been our musical guest many times over the years, and we are so happy to have him here today as part of our service of gratitude. Bill will open with Wind Beneath My Wings and perform Count Your Blessings instead of Sheep later in the service. Bill, the chancel is yours.
There didn't used to be boats, there didn't used to be cars, there didn't used to be people, there didn't used to be stars. There didn't used to be anything, but now there's a lot. So when I look around at all that we've got, I say thank you. Thank you to the sun above. Thank you for the friends I love. Thank you for the earth and air. Thank you for the food to share. Thanks for the trees and thanks for the trains. Thanks for the breeze and thanks for the rain. Thanks for books to fill my brain. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, ocean deep and desert dry and mountain steep and pigs and cows and ducks and sheeps and foxes, boxes, oxes, and snakes. Magic rocks and lucky breaks and balls to kick and kites to fly and places to go when you want to cry and people to find you've never met and things to wish for you might never get. Thanks to moms and dads and sisters and brothers, teachers and doctors and artists and others who make all our lives so much better for living. Thanks to music and dancing and singing and giving. It's so easy to see these things every day. It's to forget to say thank you in every way. Thanks for patience and hope that comes to fruition, wizards and lizards and delightful decisions. Thank you even to hard things. Those hard things can turn out to be good. Those bumps, those bruises that turned couldn't into could. Thank you with kisses and thank you with hugs from a part of my heart that is so full of love. I say thank you to you for just being you, yourselves as important as anything else. So thank you to all. As I read these last lines, remember to say thank you when someone is kind, because thank yous are what makes this whole world keep spinning. So thank you, the end, and thanks, new beginning.
Thank you, Jonas. As the song leaders come forward, we're going to open our gray hymnals. I invite you to rise in body and or spirit to sing both verses of our opening hymn, number 349, We Gather Together. I'm so happy to be your worship leader this morning, along with Beth Curtis, our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, and members of our children's program. Again, my name is Claudia Marshall, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Welcome to the weekly service of the Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church, also known as BBUUC. We are a liberal faith with no creeds or dogmas. We are encouraged to question our individual journeys for truth. If you are visiting today, we thank you for spending time with us. If you want to learn more about our church, we invite you to visit our welcome table in the entryway. Please get a name tag so that we can call you by name. We have a lot going on today. In addition to our gratitude service, which includes our food drive, we are holding a craft fair after the service, and hope you will stay for that, along with our fellowship time, where we enjoy coffee, snacks, and good conversation. I now invite you to join us in creating this sacred space by silencing your electronic devices. Unitarian Universalists, we live our values beginning with one another. Without creeds or dogmas, we are a community held together by covenant. These are the promises that we make to one another about who we will be as a faith community and how we will be in relationship with one another as we practice our values. Creating beloved community requires intention and practice. Our covenant articulates our intention. We recite the covenant that we created as a congregation to help us live into the practice. Our covenant is printed in your order of service, and I invite you to speak the words together in unison. Please join me. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. Will Rebecca LaRusso please come forward and light our chalice this morning as I share with you the words of the UU minister, Reverend Rebecca Savage. Rejoice, rejoice with full hearts, beloved people of blessing. Rejoice. May this time of worship celebrate what we know at our core. Blessings are real and ours to claim and radiate. Blessings are abundant and ours to revel in and pass along. Blessings are transformational and ours to be challenged by. As we grow towards the faith we know we can be. Rejoice. Please rise in body and/or spirit and join me in singing our call to worship. The words are in your order of service. I just love that song. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit. Today, the offering is special because the entire plate donations will go to the Unitarian Universalist Association's disaster relief effort, which is helping people and congregations affected by the recent hurricanes. If you want to donate toward your pledge, please do so using the box at the back of the sanctuary, because everything put in the plate today will go to disaster relief. As our offertory ushers, Bruce Peterson, and Ted Clisby come forward this morning, I invite you to participate in the blessed practice of giving by taking the plate and passing it to your neighbor. At the conclusion of the offering, I'll invite you to rise in body and or spirit and join in hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
Today's production is based on the story, the award-winning story, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, which was written and illustrated by William Steig. I'd like to invite Sylvester to take your place. I'd also invite Weather to come up, and Meredith. You go up there. Sorry, and Jasper. Okay. Sylvester Duncan lived with his mother and father at Acorn Road in Oatesdale. One of his hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shape and color. On a rainy Saturday, as he walked up Strawberry Hill, he found one that was quite extraordinary. It was flaming red and shiny like a marble. Sylvester sat down as he studied his remarkable pebble. He began to shiver, probably from excitement, but maybe because of the cold rain on his back. Suddenly, bolts of lightning crossed the sky, and he heard the distant sound of thunder. "I wish it would stop raining," he said. Ready, Jasper? And abracadabra, poof! To his great surprise, the rain stopped. It didn't just stop gradually, it ceased. The raindrops vanished on their way down, and the clouds disappeared, and everything was dry, and the sun was shining as if the rain had never existed. In all his young life, Sylvester had never had a wish gratified so quickly. It struck him that magic must be at work, and he guessed that the magic must be in the remarkable-looking red pebble, where indeed it was. To make a test, he put the pebble on the ground next to him, and he said, "I wish it would rain again," but nothing happened. And when he picked up the pebble and repeated the same thing, magic, abracadabra, poof, the sky turned black and the rain came shooting down, and there was lightning and a clap of thunder. "What a lucky day this is," thought Sylvester as he laughed in the rain. And now I can have anything I want. My mother and my father can have anything they want. My relatives, my friends, and anybody at all can have everything they want. He wished for the sunshine back into the sky, and abracadabra, poof! The rain and clouds and all the bad weather just disappeared and went back to their seats. And you can give your props to Miss Marilyn over there. You can go over there and give the props. Sylvester stood up and wished a wart on his left hind fetlock would disappear. And abracadabra, poof! It did! He started home eager and amazed to show his mother and father the magic pebble. He could hardly wait to see their faces. As he was crossing Strawberry Hill, thinking of the many things he could wish for, he was startled to see a mean, hungry lion looking right at him from behind the tall grass. Sylvester was frightened. If he hadn't been so frightened, he could have wished that the lion disappear, or he could have wished himself at home with his mother or father, or he could have wished that the lion would turn into a butterfly, or a daisy, or a gnat. He could have wished for many things, but he panicked, and he couldn't think carefully. I wish I were a rock, and abracadabra, poof, poof. Oh, cool, okay. Sylvester became a rock. The lion came bounding over and sniffed the rock 100 times, walked around and around, and then went away, completely confused, perplexed, puzzled, and bewildered. I saw that little donkey as clear as day. Maybe I'm going crazy, the lion muttered as he walked away. And there was Sylvester, a rock on Strawberry Hill, with a magic pebble lying right beside him on the ground, and he was unable to pick it up. So he wished, oh, how I wish I were myself again. But nothing happened. He had to be touching the pebble to make the magic work. His thoughts began to race like mad. He was scared and worried, being helpless. He felt hopeless. He imagined all the possibilities, and eventually he realized that his only chance of becoming himself again was for someone to find the red pebble and then wish the rock next to it would become a donkey? Someone would surely find the red pebble. It was so shiny and bright. But what on earth would make them wish that the rock was a donkey? The chance was 1 in a billion at best. Sylvester fell asleep. What else could he do? Night came with many stars. I now invite Mr. and Mrs. Duncan. Meanwhile, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan paced the floor, frantic with worry. Sylvester had never come home later than dinner time. Where could he be? They stayed up all night wondering what they had happened, expecting Sylvester would surely show up by morning. But he didn't, of course. Mrs. Duncan cried a lot. Mr. Duncan did his best to soothe her. Both longed to have their dear son with them. I will never scold Sylvester again as long as I live, said Mrs. Duncan, no matter what he does. Now, I now invite all of the other animals in our audience to come forward. Right here. Down here. Cool. Okay. So at dawn, Mr. and Mrs. Sylvester went about asking neighbors, the dogs, the kittens, the cows, the sheep, the birds, if they had seen Sylvester. But no one had seen him since the day before yesterday. All their neighbors in Oatsdale went searching. Go searching. Searching. Look for Sylvester. And the cows checked the schools and under the seats. The kittens searched the stores and under the shelves. The sheep searched the barns and under the haystack. The birds flew overhead, searching and searching. And oh, the dogs, all of the dogs, they sniffed the rock. But, of course, it didn't smell like Sylvester. It just smelled like a rock. And after a month of searching, the same places and some new places over and over again, all of their neighbors stopped searching and went back to their seats. Now, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan no longer knew what to do. They concluded that something dreadful must have happened and that they would probably never see their son again, though all the time Sylvester was less than a mile away. They tried their best to be happy, to go about their usual ways, but their usual ways included Sylvester, and they were always reminded of him. They were miserable. Miserable. Good. Life had no meaning for them anymore. All they wanted in the whole wide world was for Sylvester to be home again. And all Sylvester wanted in the whole wide world was to be home again as well. Night followed day, and day followed night over and over again. Sylvester on the hill woke up less often. When he was awake, he was only hopeless and unhappy. He felt he would be a rock forever, and he tried to get used to it. He fell into an endless sleep. The days grew colder. Fall came with leaves changing color, and then the leaves fell and the grass bent to the ground. And then it was winter. The winds blew this way and that. It snowed and it snowed, then gradually the snows melted. The earth warmed up again in the spring and things budded. Leaves were on the trees again. Flowers showed their young faces. Now, back at home one day in May, Mr. Duncan picked up his picnic basket and he said to Mrs. Duncan, "Let's cheer up. Let us try to live again and be happy, even though Sylvester, our angel, is no longer with us." So they grabbed the picnic basket and went to Strawberry Hill. Mrs. Duncan sat down, leaning against the rock. The warmth of his own mother sitting next to him woke Sylvester up from his deep winter sleep. How he wanted to shout, "Mother, Father, it's me, Sylvester. I'm right here." But he couldn't talk. As a rock, he had no voice. Mr. Duncan walked aimlessly about while Mrs. Duncan set out the picnic food. It's up there. Awesome. Set out the picnic food. Sandwiches, pickled oats, sassafras salad, and Timothy compote. Suddenly, Mr. Duncan saw the red pebble. "What a fantastic pebble," he said. "Sylvester would have loved this for his collection." And he put the pebble on the rock. Mrs. Duncan felt some mysterious excitement. "You know, Father," she said suddenly, "I have the strangest feeling that our dear Sylvester is still alive and not far away." I am, Sylvester wanted to shout, but he couldn't. If only he had realized that the pebble resting on his back was the magic pebble. "Oh, how I wish he were here with us today on this lovely May day," said Mrs. Duncan. "Don't you wish it too, Father?" Mr. Duncan looked at her. "How could you ask me such a question?" Mr. and Mrs. Duncan looked at each other with great sorrow. "I wish I were myself again. I wish I were my real self again," thought Sylvester. And what do you think happened? Abracadabra. Poof! In less than an instant, Sylvester was himself again. Now, can you imagine the scene that followed? The embraces or high fives, the kisses, the jumping up and down, the questions, the answers, the loving looks and fond exclamations. Now, when they had to go home, Mr. Duncan will put the magic pebble in an iron safe. Now, someday they might want to use it, but really for now, what more could they wish for than they all had just what they wanted. Now, everybody who is in the play, please stand up and take a bow. Let's give our hand to all our players. The end. As the kids make their way back to this seat, we should think about the story of this story. A magic pebble could bring you crazy kinds of riches beyond all imagination, but in the end, all that Mr. and Mrs. Duncan wanted, and Mr. and Mrs. Duncan and Sylvester wanted, was to be together again in their snug little home. Now, I bet after all they went through, they were thankful every day for being together. And this teaches us that we shouldn't need to have someone turn into a rock or something else horrible happen to have the attitude of gratitude in our hearts. We should maybe take time every day to take stock of what we really do have and to be thankful for our families, for our homes, for the food that we all enjoy, and all the things we might take it for granted.
Behind me, we see an image that is often associated with Thanksgiving. Does anybody know what this is called? Cornucopia. A cornucopia, which is also known as a horn of plenty. The Latin word cornu means horn, and copia means abundance. And it symbolizes just that, abundance. Now, abundance means having enough, even more than that, having maybe a little more than you need.
The symbol of the cornucopia goes back to the Greek and Roman times and has been highly associated with harvest celebrations, where people traditionally have celebrated and been thankful for all that their crops have produced, that the earth, nature, and weather have provided them with enough food to tide them through winter.
But these days, in most cases, we don't have harvest festivals where we give thanks for our crops. Many times, we take our food for granted. It's just there waiting for us in endless abundance, arranged neatly and attractively on the shelves of our supermarkets.
Not too long ago, a member of our congregation related a story about her return to the United States after a year-long deployment in Iraq. Thank you for serving, Jennifer. Returning to her local Publix, she was overwhelmed by the sheer volume and choices of what we all may take for granted. After a year of military food and MREs and even being hosted by a local family in Iraq, who quite obviously didn't have a horn of plenty, she saw an entire aisle dedicated to breakfast cereal. One brand offering 6 different ways to buy elbow macaroni. Pyramids of perfect vegetables and fruit. Easy access to this kind of abundance that we see at Publix, Winn-Dixie, and Whole Foods is not the norm in our world, or even in our country, or even in our counties. We need to look at this blessing of access to healthy food and examine it in the light of inequity and justice.
The rising cost of groceries affects us all, but we must acknowledge what might be inconvenient to some is devastating to others. There are many in our communities who go hungry or go without proper nutrition. Food insecurity means that a person doesn't have consistent access to enough food that would make up a healthy diet. Food insecurity in Duval and Clay counties consistently hovers at around 8 to 10%. That includes children, teens, college students, young adults, and adults who are going hungry and facing malnutrition. We have to remember that the core causes of food insecurity are often lack of affordable housing and medical care, unemployment, racism, and discrimination. We have to remember that hunger work is justice work.
Many in our beloved community have brought food items today to donate to the Clay County Clothes Closet and Food Pantry. I will now ask any children who are available to go back and bring up the bags and boxes of the groceries to our chancel. Thank you all who have contributed so generously. This will help many families answer the question of where their next meal comes from, and that's a powerful gift. From our bright, shiny supermarkets, when we seamlessly transfer what's on the grocery store shelves to our kitchen shelves and refrigerators, we often lose our connection with where the food in our horn of plenty comes from.
When we open our grocery bag, we often fail to acknowledge that a human being picked this apple. A farmer drove a harvester to harvest the corn or wheat or rice that they planted in the spring. Someone milled the grain, and someone baked the loaf. Someone gathered the eggs, someone milked the cow. But no matter how many millers and processors and milkers and bakers put their mark on it, in between, all food comes from the land and sea.
And so today, we would like to stop and take a moment and pay attention. We'd like to stop and take some time to acknowledge and feel the connection between our bodies and the earth that nourishes it.
We would share the essence of the fruits of the earth in the form of apple juice.
We would like to share the essence of the grains of the earth in the form of corn. But this looks a little dry. So we'll use a magic trick that goes back to the traditions of the Native Americans. The trick of putting kernels of dried corn on flat rocks near a hot fire, or in this case, the microwave. Turning it into what? Popcorn. Now, you are all probably wondering why you had napkins in your order of services. Well, now you know. Could the kiddos that are part of my pass-out crew go to the back? And they will be passing out, everybody will receive items for our communion. I'm going to go help them.
Okay. Hey guys, you neglected everybody over here. Oh.
Well, okay, if you're eating, just hold on for a minute.
Okay. We have special words for our apple and corn communion, so please don't eat or drink till everyone's been served. While all of this is going on, we'll have a time for quiet meditation. Try to think about this very special festival, about the things you have to be thankful for or the things that lie heavy on your mind and heart, making it hard to see to those good things. You ready? Okay. We celebrate our coming together today with corn. Corn is an ancient symbol of abundance. Corn was the life-sustaining gift of the Native Americans to the Pilgrims. Corn today is the gift to us of the sun and the earth and the farmer and of the hands of those who gather the grain. Let us eat and be nourished and give thanks. Oh, thank you.
You may now eat the corn.
Eat the corn. That's good stuff. Okay. Oh, thank you.
Okay. We celebrate our coming together with the juice of the apple. The apple is an ancient symbol of the gift of knowledge. The juice of the apple is a gift to us of the tree whose roots sink deep into the earth for sustenance, and of the bee that fertilizes the blossom, and of the hands of those who have picked the fruits. Let us drink and be nourished and give thanks for our gifts of the earth. You may now drink.
Okay, I think. You want me to do it, or?
I guess I'm doing.
Okay, all right.
Okay, finish up. Because we're all going to have to stand, you know. And I now invite our song leaders up for the congregation to stand and sing our closing hymn, For All That Is Our Life, number 128. You may rise in body or spirit if you still have juice. I invite Rebecca LaRusso to come up and extinguish the chalice, and Ziggy Gorman, who will be reading our closing words. After the service, please bring your popcorn bags and cups to the back of the sanctuary to throw them away. Yes. Ziggy, take it away.
T starts out turkey and tofu and together. H reminds us of happiness, may it grow beyond measure. A means all who are returning to us this fall. N for newcomers to our fellowship and hearty welcome to all. K is for kind friends with whom we will share dinner. S means surely you'll have fun, but you won't get any thinner. G is generosity to share what we've been given. I for integrity, may truth be our tradition. V is very special, one of us is dear. Or each one of us is dear. I stands for indigenous. The First Nations are the first here. N stands for this nation. and challenges and strengths. G reminds us of gratitude and calls us to give thanks.